if you recall the last time that you were here,
Yes.
I was telling you that I could always see you getting back with Puffy in a little way.
I remember you said
Yes.
that. Yes.
Or in my mind.
Look at that. Look at.
Or in my mind, getting together permanently with Pitbull.
Right, Pitbull. It's crazy. Everybody came alive. They all had something to say.
Yeah, everybody has an opinion.
Yes, it's funny to me.
So, but all right.
J-Lo leaving the country after rumors that Diddy decided to talk is a huge story with plenty to dig into. We've got FBI raids, serious allegations, secret recordings, and possible effects on her recent marriage to Ben. There's a lot going on here.
Las Vegas. Now you guys know I'm no stranger to this town. No, I've been on stage here many, many times. Too many times to count. But this is the most important stage I've ever been on. And let me tell you, it has never felt the way it does tonight. It has nothing to do with me and everything to do with you. The energy in here is just electric. Can you guys feel it? Can you feel it? It's amazing. The election is just 5 days away, and there's so much at stake. The choices facing America now are monumental. And you guys have made this place a city where dreams come true, where people from all walks of life have planted a flag in hopes of creating a better future for themselves and their families. And you are the ones who are going to send the message that Nevada is Harris country. Kamala Harris is running for the people who dream, for the parents working overtime, the kids studying by streetlight, the teenagers practicing in the basement. She's the only candidate that wants to raise the minimum wage and make college more affordable. Keep the Department of Education and even put a teacher in the vice president's job. That's right. On the other hand, her opponent wants to kill the Affordable Care Act and eliminate the Department of Education. Right now, we are on the brink of an election that demands a choice. A choice between backwards and forwards, a choice between the past and the future, a choice between divided and united. And if you are anything like me and you value the idea that in this country, any child from any background can not only work their ass off to bring their dreams to life and be able to do so with dignity and respect for their neighbors, then it isn't much of a choice at all.
I don't know about you, but this whole story sounds straight out of a Hollywood thriller.
Whether you're from Castle Hill in the Bronx, yes, baby, or Sunrise Manor in East Las Vegas. We all want a world where our kids feel safe and free and valued by their president, because whoever leads this country matters. That's how we make the greatest America. Because I remember growing up thinking my president cared about me, cared about my parents, cared about my neighbors and my community. Not just some Americans, but all Americans. I believe that our kids and this wonderfully progressive, innovative, and inclusive young generation deserve that too. And it is in our hands. It's our responsibility to provide that for them. You know, when I started in TV and film, I could get roles playing the maid or the loudmouth Latina. But I knew I had more to offer. And I think there are a lot of people in this country who feel the same way, who know that they are capable of more. And we all just want a chance to prove it. And elections are about choosing leaders who support that, not one who stands in the way.
Here's the scoop. Suge Knight, the notorious former CEO of Death Row Records, just dropped some shocking claims. According to Ben Folk, there's troubling footage of JL from when she was dating Diddy. Let's not forget, JL and Diddy were a couple back in the late 90s.
A former Playboy model claims Sean Diddy Combs made her watch a Jennifer Lopez music video on repeat at one of his freak-offs. Rachel Kennedy claims the footage was playing on a continuous loop in Diddy's Tokyo hotel room during the 2000 interaction, and further alleged that the rapper was on the phone with J-Lo, whom he was dating at the time. Rachel said on the Daily Mail's The Trial of Diddy podcast that she found the entire situation quite odd, and further described it as creepy and disrespectful. Rachel and her two friends had been invited to Diddy's room for a party after meeting him at a topless club in Japan. She and her friends were expecting to just attend the party, but Diddy was alone in his room when they arrived. She claims they then engaged in a consensual sexual encounter. Jennifer Lopez has yet to comment on Diddy's legal.
Back then, JL and Diddy were the ultimate power couple in entertainment, though their relationship had its fair share of drama. Now, Knight is hinting that some old tapes from those days, supposedly seized by the FBI from Diddy's properties, may have shaken up Ben and possibly played a role in his decision to split from JL.
Kamala Harris gets it. Raised by a hardworking mother in Oakland, California, working long hours, strict budget, made rent every month until they could buy a home, surrounded by a community of firefighters and teachers, nurses, construction workers, small business owners. I don't know, that sounds a lot like my upbringing, and probably many of yours. Kamala Harris gets it. I know as President of the United States, Kamala will fight for our freedom, the freedom of immigrants and immigrant families to chase the American dream, the freedom of workers to afford housing, education, food, and life's essentials, and the freedom of women to choose what we do with our bodies. I believe in the power of women. Ladies, where are my ladies at? Let me hear you. Guys, I believe that women have the power to make the difference in this election. I believe in the power of Latinos. Where are my Latinos at? I believe in the power of our community. I believe in the power of all our votes. I believe that together we are the difference in this election. I know that together we are the difference in this election. Kamala Harris chose a career in law to fight for middle-class families like her own. From her start as a courtroom prosecutor to becoming the district attorney, then California's attorney general, then a U.S. senator, and now as...
Let's break it down. Why did the FBI raid Diddy's properties? This is where things get intense. On September 16, 2024, the Department of Homeland Security arrested Diddy on serious charges, human trafficking and racketeering. This isn't your usual celebrity scandal. These are extremely serious accusations.
Developing now, new details are emerging about the FBI raid on homes owned by rapper P. Diddy. Law enforcement sources telling ABC News the searches were part of a federal sex trafficking investigation. Federal agents searching the hip-hop mogul's homes in both Los Angeles and Miami. Attorneys for Diddy called the search warrants, quote, an unprecedented ambush and a witch hunt. ABC News senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky joins me now. Aaron, let's take a step back. Give us a little bit of the backstory about how we got here, what led up to this raid, what more are we learning about what federal agents were looking for and potentially what they found in these homes?
This investigation began with civil lawsuits filed by a number of accusers against Sean Diddy Combs, and some of the allegations do go back quite a number of years. He settled one lawsuit, others are still pending, and he has denied everything in them. But federal prosecutors, as they often do, took a look at those lawsuits. They were able to speak, we're told, to at least some, if not all, of Diddy's accusers. And then they sent federal agents with Homeland Security investigations to go to his houses and to try and get corroborating evidence, because that's ultimately what they would need to bring a case.
Yeah, and you heard the rapper's attorneys using some pretty strong words, calling it a witch hunt. And you see the pictures. In a federal raid like that, a lot of that is standard operating procedure, but when you see the heavy guns and people's hands over their heads being cuffed, what more are his attorneys, what more is his camp saying about this?
Well, they're complaining about the tactics. They said it was militaristic, and they said it was needless. They said that Diddy was cooperative, spoke to federal agents. We're told that they were able to seize electronics, as you'd expect, devices in the homes, because they're looking for videos, photos, any mementos that he may have been keeping that would corroborate what accusers have said. You know, if they said, well, I took a picture with him here at this place and he flew me on this jet here, they need evidence to corroborate that, and that's undoubtedly what they were looking for, and most of it's probably electronic.
They got to have probable cause in order to do something like they did that day.
It's a good point, and that tells you, I think, that they're confident in their case and that they were able to convince a judge that there was evidence in that home of potential crimes.
All right, Aaron Katersky.
During the raid on Diddy's properties, authorities reportedly uncovered tapes that contained far more than anyone expected. Some sources claim these tapes include evidence of abuse involving Diddy and his former partners, including JL. This raises big questions. What's on those tapes that might have unsettled Ben enough to step back from JL?
Only ever had one client, you, the people. And in each of those roles, she took on scammers who ripped off their customers, predators who abused women, and cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. There is no candidate in the history of the presidency that is more qualified, and there is no job that Kamala Harris can't do. Kamala Harris gets it. And that's what her policies are about. She will put forward an actual plan to make housing more affordable, to cut taxes for middle-class families, to help small businesses get a foothold, to expand the child tax credit, to fight inflation by cracking down on grocery monopolies, to take on those who rip off consumers. And what's that all about at the end of the day? It's about helping you get ahead. It's about you. And you, and you, and you, and you. It's about us, all of us. No matter what we look like, who we love, or who we worship, or where we're from. Her opponent, on the other hand, doesn't see it that way. He has consistently worked to divide us. At Madison Square Garden, he reminded us who he really is and how he really feels. It wasn't just Puerto Ricans that were offended that day, okay? It was every Latino in this country. It was humanity and anyone of decent character. Look, I'm a lover. You guys know that about me. I'm a lover. I am not a fighter. I am not here to trash anyone or bring them down. I know what that can feel like, and I wouldn't do it to my worst enemy, or even when facing the biggest adversary I think America has internally ever had. But over Kamala Harris's entire career.
To add more context, Diddy's alleged behavior has been questioned by many. Over 120 people have come forward with accusations of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse against him.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity. including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016,
Yes, that's 120 people making accusations, which paints a troubling picture of Diddy's past relationships. While he's pleaded not guilty, the sheer number of claims is hard to overlook.
Diddy Combs. Yesterday, we told you how federal agents searched 2 of his properties as part of an investigation into alleged sex and drug trafficking. Well, today, an updated civil lawsuit makes similar allegations. Chief investigative reporter Jonathan Deans joining us from the newsroom with where this investigation stands today, John.
Natalie, no criminal charges filed to date in connection with ongoing questions about alleged sex trafficking. But it appears one associate of Combs was arrested yesterday on unrelated drug charges. This is video of Sean Combs yesterday in Miami, shortly after news broke of the raids. The rapper known as Diddy, seen pacing shortly after federal agents seized his phones at an airport before a planned trip to the Bahamas. At that airport, Miami police say they also arrested Brendan Paul, who is charged with cocaine possession. A civil lawsuit names Paul as one of Combs' associates. This all happening after Homeland Security investigations agents descended on his multi-million-dollar Los Angeles home yesterday. They could be seen carrying out boxes and bags of evidence. In Miami yesterday, a similar scene, HSI agents seen taking away evidence, including a laptop.
The speed at which it appears these raids were conducted suggests that agents were concerned that they needed to secure evidence quickly and prevent anyone from destroying evidence before they got there.
The searches, which lasted into the night, were based on search warrants filed here by the Southern District of New York. The matter related to sex trafficking, drugs, and other allegations previously raised in civil lawsuits against the rapper. One lawsuit updated just yesterday by a New York artist named Rodney Jones. He alleges sex trafficking, drugs, guns, and inappropriate abuse of minors were all part of an organized enterprise, with some of the activity allegedly taking place at Combs' properties. Lawyers for Combs in the past have denied any wrongdoing, but have not commented since yesterday's raids. Federal prosecutors in New York have interviewed numerous women who allege wrongdoing, sources tell us, and former R&B singer and Combs' one-time partner Cassie has accused him of physically and sexually abusing her for years. Combs settled that lawsuit a day after it was filed, but Combs' lawyer says he does not admit any wrongdoing in that matter. Again, no criminal charges filed and the search warrant remains sealed. Combs, again, not yet commenting, but in the past has denied wrongdoing. The criminal investigation continues. David?
Jonathan Deanstar, Chief Investigative Reporter. John.
One significant figure from Diddy's past is Cassie Ventura. According to claims, she was also a victim of his abuse, and there's reportedly footage showing Diddy physically assaulting her while she was wearing only a towel.
It was captured on video and later reported in the media. Specifically, Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a victim in a Los Angeles hotel when the victim was attempting to flee. As alleged, these assaults often resulted in injuries to the victims, which took days or weeks to heal. In addition to the violence, The indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. And the indictment alleges that he maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, by giving and threatening to take away financial support or housing, by promising them career opportunities, by monitoring their whereabouts, and even by dictating their physical appearance. Because of all of this, the indictment alleges that the victims did not believe they could refuse Combs without risking their security or facing more abuse. The indictment also alleges other acts of violence undertaken by Combs and others, including violence against witnesses to his abuse, kidnapping, and arson. The indictment alleges that on more than one occasion, Combs carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten victims and witnesses. Now, Combs did not do this all on his own. As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy. He used his business and employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff. The indictment alleges that those individuals facilitated the freak-offs. They booked the hotel rooms and stocked them with the supplies, including drugs, baby oil, personal lubricant, extra linens, and lighting. When the hotel rooms got damaged, they helped clean it up. They arranged for victims and commercial sex workers to travel for the freak-offs, and they delivered large quantities of cash to Combs to pay for the commercial sex workers. The indictment also alleges that they helped Combs cover up his crimes. During the March 2016 incident at the LA hotel that I mentioned earlier,
just thinking about this kind of behavior raises serious concerns about what other disturbing secrets might be hidden in those tapes, especially regarding Jade L's safety during her time with Diddy.
What a beautiful dress you look.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask you, can't wait to see 3 a.m.
Yes.
The controversy.
Yeah.
How can we get a tape of this?
Oh, I'm going to send it to you. I will email it to you.
Email me the whole thing.
Yes,
I love it. I love that you're constantly crushing the glass ceiling or crushing the black ceiling.
Yes.
You're one of the first. One of the first.
You know, I'm blessed to be in this industry.
Yes, and you're blessed.
I just try to blend it with my artistry.
Yeah, and you create that. I'm thrilled. I want to see that like tomorrow, 8 p.m. Send it to me at 3 a.m. in the morning, okay?
Knight's claim is that these tapes may have also put a strain on JL and Ben's marriage. According to him, Ben found out about the tapes and was completely shaken by what he learned.
Related to that arrest. 24 hours after Cassie filed her lawsuit, she and Diddy announced that they had reached an undisclosed settlement. Combs released a statement saying, "We have decided to resolve this matter amicably. I wish Cassie and her family all the best." His lawyer adding that the settlement was, quote, "in no way an admission of wrongdoing."
I mean, I just feel like it's PR. He's settled because he doesn't want to go to court.
Diddy's music career spans 3 decades, including 3 Grammy Awards, and the creation of Bad Boy Records, representing artists from Mary J. Blige to the late Notorious B.I.G. In September, he was awarded MTV's Global Icon Award. But since the allegations surfaced, Hulu scrapped a reality series about his family, and the Recording Academy said they are considering to rescind his invite to this year's Grammys.
You know, I think a lot of people, especially in the Black community, are, you know, I've seen the narrative of like, you know, they just trying to take a Black man down. And it's just like, that's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. This is about accountability and a reckoning. Like, that's just the bottom line.
As for what justice looks like,
I think justice looks like Diddy being behind bars. And I also think that justice looks like everybody getting retribution for all of the things. The amount of therapy, like I just said, all of the moments, the time, like these are our careers.
And Chloe is back with us now. You hear her saying justice looks like Diddy behind bars. Is there a possibility that could still happen? Where does the criminal case stand?
So Cassie filed her federal civil suit here in New York, and the NYPD has come out and said that there is no investigation into Diddy right now. Now, that doesn't mean that the district attorney of Manhattan isn't looking into something, or perhaps investigations going on behind the scenes, but publicly, on the record.
Imagine this. Ben, known for his calm demeanor and private life, is suddenly faced with footage of his wife's rocky past with Diddy. Knight suggests this could have completely changed Ben's view of his marriage to JL, making him question their relationship.
Bring in Myla Morales. She's a former makeup artist for Diddy and also Cassie Ventura, working for Diddy for years and eventually becoming a friend of Cassie's. In 2010, Myla alleges that she heard Cassie being physically abused and was a witness to the aftermath of the alleged attack. She joins me now. Myla, thank you so much for being here. This has been, for so many people, illuminating, infuriating, troubling, devastating. You can go down the list of things, but it's so difficult to speak about.
I know.
Being a witness of anything. Tell me how you must be feeling just knowing that this has even come to light.
Well, I have kept this secret for like 14 years. I mean, the first time I experienced it was 2010. And I was in the hotel room when Puff came in, and I had no idea Cassie left. And when I woke up, I just saw his presence come into the room. They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things and start packing it up and just getting her out to safety and bringing her to my house. So that's kind of like what transpired from that night. And once she came out of the room, she was badly, beaten.
Oh my God. What did her physical appearance look like?
I mean, it was knots on her head, black eye, busted lip, but a lot of knots all over her head.
Ben and JL had already been showing signs of trouble. If you look back at their public appearances in 2023, there were moments when it felt like they were from completely different worlds. Take the 2023 Grammys, for example. JL was her usual lively, spotlight-loving self, while Ben seemed like he'd rather be anywhere else.
Hotel security staff intervened, and Combs attempted to bribe the staff member with a stack of cash to make sure that what happened was kept quiet. And as the indictment alleges, in late 2023, after public allegations were made about Combs's crimes, he and others pressured witnesses and victims to stay silent, including by making phone calls to witnesses and victims and giving them a false narrative of what they had experienced. And as alleged, Combs used others to help conceal his abuse by monitoring and preventing victims from leaving a location in order to hide their injuries, or by locating and contacting a victim who had attempted to flee. As part of this investigation, in March of this year, special agents from HSI executed search warrants at Combs' residences in Miami and Los Angeles. They also executed a warrant for Combs' electronic devices. During those searches, agents seized evidence of the crimes charged in this indictment. They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and a large capacity drum magazine. They also seized evidence of the freak-offs, electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple victims. And they seized cases and cases of the kinds of personal lubricant and baby oil that Combs' staff allegedly used to stock hotel rooms for the freak-offs, more than 1,000 bottles.
Ben is famously known for disliking red carpet events and the media frenzy that comes with being a Hollywood A-lister.
Did she go to the police at that point or anything?
No, we didn't know what to do at that point because, Puffy is a very powerful person and we were quite terrified. So I just, brought her to my house, and my friend, who is a doctor, I called her, and thank God she was in town because we didn't know what to do. And she treated her for, just to make sure she didn't have a concussion or anything like that. But it was really it was painful to see Cassie like that because she's such a beautiful human being, and for a man to just hurt any sort of woman or child or animal. It doesn't matter, but Cass is a good friend of mine, and I just felt, so I just didn't know what to do. I felt like I don't even know how to describe how I felt that night.
Did she describe how she was feeling about having that happen? Did you get a sense that this was the first time?
It didn't feel like it, because it wasn't. It was almost like, I feel like she might have been embarrassed that happened in front of me.
But the incident that you're talking about even predates what we saw in this horrific video from a hotel floor. When that video came out, what did it feel like knowing that had now been public?
No, I was devastated when I saw that video, because it was like I witnessed what could have happened in that room and more, So that was a hallway incident. Who knows what happened, in that room when I was outside of there. And I was devastated. Actually, I've been devastated since the court cases came out and how, he mistreated Cassie.
He has settled the suit involving her specifically, but there are others, and there are sources that are telling CNN that the majority of the people currently suing Diddy are actually speaking to federal investigators, which indicates the Justice Department might be moving close to an indictment.
That night at the Grammys, Ben's clearly miserable expression fueled rumors of tension between him and JL. Now, with the resurfacing of these Diddy tapes, it's easy to see how it could have been the tipping point in their relationship.
Do you think that Cassie would testify against him if federal investigators asked her to or compelled her to?
I'm really not sure. Like I said, I can't speak for Cass, but I hope she does. I hope she does, because she's the only one that would know all the information that's gone on over the years. So,
Mila, why do you think? I mean, we've heard certainly, a lot of people in the industry condemn Diddy for what they saw on that video, but it hasn't been a universal outcry within the industry specifically. Why do you think that is?
Because it's a very small industry, and that we all know each other, and I feel like people are afraid to speak up about it. And the only reason why I am is because I'm a friend of Cass's, and I really care about her very much so. And I'm outraged and very, very heartbroken about how he's been treating her. It just it breaks my heart, and I just can't imagine a man treating a woman that way. And not just a woman, but a friend of mine that I've known since she was a teenager. So, I've known Cassie before all of this. So it disgusts me.
I can only imagine, of all the women that you have worked with and people who are eager to be in the industry, what they are exposed to, how they could be exploited and abused in a variety of ways. And that's why the idea that not hearing so many more people speak up is very frustrating and hurtful for so many people.
It is frustrating and hurtful, even for me, because I watch, I know what goes on behind the scenes, and I just can't imagine why nobody's speaking up. I mean, everyone's just hush hush and quiet. I don't know, maybe they're scared. I mean, we've all been scared, so,
I hope this is a turning point, Mila Morales.
I think so.
I really hope it is. Thank you so much for joining me
I hope
tonight.
so. Thank you so much.
Sue Knight claims that Ben was shown certain tapes to make him aware of his wife's past. This is where things get even murkier. Imagine being Ben in this situation, facing the reality of what's been hidden from him.
AR-15's right there. Now, I want to be clear about two things. First, this office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful or wealthy or famous you may be. No one should doubt our commitment on that. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York. Second, we are not done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly. Anyone with information can call 1-877-4HSI-TIP. I want to express my deep appreciation for the victims and witnesses who have used their voices and helped bring this criminal conduct to light. We would not be here without them. I also want to thank the dedicated case agents on the HSI Trafficking in Person Squad in New York. They have been with us since day one and have worked tirelessly on this investigation. They will continue to be invaluable partners to us. I also want to thank the incredible agents and analysts from SCNY who have also provided tremendous assistance on this case. I'm deeply grateful for their continued work. And finally, I want to thank the outstanding career prosecutors from SCNY who are handling this case. Meredith Foster, Emily Johnson, Chrissy Slavic, Madison Smizer, and Mitzi Steiner, and their supervisors, Jamie Backleeper and Jacqueline Kelly. They are members of the Civil Rights Unit in our criminal division. We created the Civil Rights Unit when I became U.S. Attorney. I'm deeply proud of their work on this and so many other cases. I'll now take some questions.
You just married a global superstar, someone you've had an on and off relationship with for years, and suddenly you're shown tapes that could reveal a side of her past you'd rather not know about. It's unclear exactly what's on those tapes, but if Knight's claims are true, they could have been deeply disturbing.
You're going to show us the video, but first, give us some context on what we're about to see.
Yes, Jake, this is incredibly disturbing footage, so I do want to warn our viewers, as you did. But as you said, Cassie's lawsuit, which was filed in November of 2023 and then was quickly settled overnight, it did open the floodgates. But in that complaint, Jake, she details an incident that she alleged happened in March of 2016 at a hotel in Los Angeles. She claimed in her lawsuit that she was physically assaulted by Diddy. Now our team in the LA Bureau, we have got our hands on that surveillance footage, and it appears to corroborate Cassie's claims identically. Really, Jake, the lawsuit lines up with exactly what we are seeing.
Before we show you the video, let's set the scene. This footage is incredibly disturbing, so a warning to our viewers is necessary. As you mentioned, Cassie's lawsuit, filed in November 2023 and quickly settled, opened the door to more details. In her complaint, she described an incident from March 2016 at a hotel in Los Angeles, where she claimed Diddy physically assaulted her. Our team at the LA Bureau has obtained the surveillance footage, and it appears to confirm Cassie's account. Everything in the lawsuit matches exactly what we're seeing in the video.
According to Ventura's now settled lawsuit, the pair began dating several years after they met in 2005. They parted ways in 2019. Combs' attorney said the decision to settle was in no way an admission of wrongdoing. Ventura declined to comment on the video, but her attorney told CNN the gut-wrenching video has only further confirmed the disturbing and predatory behavior of Mr. Combs. Words cannot express the courage and fortitude that Miss Ventura has shown in coming forward to bring this to light. The video hasn't been seen publicly before and comes on the heels of a series of civil lawsuits alleging Combs' involvement in sex trafficking and sexual abuse, allegations that Combs has repeatedly denied. Authorities searched Combs' homes in Los Angeles and Miami in April as part of an ongoing federal investigation carried out by a team that specializes in human trafficking crimes. In a December 2023 statement, Combs responded to the claims in some of the lawsuits, saying, "Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged."
The final twist in all of this comes from Suge Knight's comments about how the situation may have conflicted with Ben's values and lifestyle. Knight describes Ben as someone who comes from a stable background, someone who doesn't get caught up in the paparazzi or the flashy, chaotic world that JL thrives in.
that he faces. Now, I have reached out to Diddy's team. We have not heard back from them today. But Jake, I do want to point out there was a settlement deal between Diddy and Cassie. So neither of them can speak. But again, we're still waiting to hear back from his team. Now, a really great point that you brought up top, Jake, was what is going on in Diddy's world, right? We've all heard stories of Hollywood enablers and enablers in circles around powerful people. But something that I want to point out, Diddy is one of the most powerful people in music history. He is a mogul. We have not seen any support in Hollywood. All of his famous friends, since these allegations came forward, we have not seen anyone come to his defense. And that silence is very loud, Jake.
Yeah, Elizabeth Wagmeister, thank you so much. Incredible work by the LA Bureau. Let's discuss this with CNN's John Miller and Julie K. Brown, a Miami Herald investigative journalist who's been following this story. Also best known perhaps for her work pursuing the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking story. So John, Cassie filed her lawsuit in November. The feds raided Diddy's home in March. Now we see this awful video, which is more than 8 years old. And yet Diddy has still not been charged with anything. I would think there would be grounds for his arrest in that video. Why hasn't he been charged with anything?
Well, the video is out of the statute of limitations. The statute of limitations in California for a simple assault is a year. For domestic violence assault, it was 3 years. They've moved that up to 5 years. But this is out of range for a state charge in California. However, let's get back to that federal investigation. What HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, is doing, as Elizabeth framed it, is they are building a racketeering case, a RICO case based on human trafficking and allegations startlingly similar that track those that have been made in Cassie Ventura's lawsuit and in the lawsuit by another individual who worked for Combs that tell these stories of people being brought in the presence of weapons and drugs and so on. It's very much like what they did in the R. Kelly case, which got him 30 years in prison. So this charge, even though it's state crime is out of the statute of limitations, would be fair game in that federal case.
Julie, Cassie's lawsuit claims that hotel security staff saw what was happening on the surveillance.
Ben has chosen a quieter, more grounded life. But according to Knight, it might have felt like JL was bringing unnecessary drama from her past into their relationship. If these tapes do reveal anything controversial or shocking, Ben could have seen them as baggage he didn't want to deal with, which may have played a part in the reported rift between them.
Presumably could be other video, because all these hotels have cameras. There presumably could be other video out there. And in addition, a couple of the other lawsuits that have been filed against him allege that that there is video evidence. And that is exactly what authorities were trying to get their hands on when they conducted their searches of his homes in Miami Beach and in California and LA.
John, assuming that Sean Combs, Diddy, is eventually charged, how important might this video be?
Well, it's going to be very important to the assault charge. It's going to be very important to the credibility of Cassie Ventura as a witness. Remember, when she brought that lawsuit, Ben Brafman, Combs' lawyer, called it baseless, outrageous lies from somebody looking for a payday, claimed that she had tried to blackmail them, that she demanded $30 million. That video is stunningly supportive of her credibility, of her allegations. It unfolds exactly as she charged it did in her lawsuit, so it will help her if she becomes a witness in that case, and it will...
So, is JL's decision to leave the country tied to all this drama? The timing is definitely suspicious, right after Diddy's arrest and the resurfacing of these allegations. She reportedly left the country, and now people are speculating that she's either trying to avoid the spotlight or taking time to re-evaluate her life.